Good Saturday evening. So we decided to have a fireplace chimney fire, and for some reason, smoke didn't want to go up the chimney for a while and was coming in the house. So, of course, we had all the smoke detectors doing their job and were running around opening all the doors and all the windows to air out the smoke, which defeats the purpose of the fire, really warm up the house, which is cold and now even colder. But at least it was exciting, right? I think that's cute. This is where I got the idea of Harlow being a cute theme collector. And the first thing that she shows Sebastian when he's first living here made him a cup of tea with the little duck floating around in the cup. And it was the first time he had smiled in over a week. The last time he had smiled would have been at the reason he got attacked was he smiled and complimented the young woman about how she looked and got attacked because the creeper guy that stalked that girl didn't like that she reacted to him positively. Anyway, as some of you know, I'm trying to write a song lyrics, not a song as far as music. Very rough, first draft of it. But basically what it's outlining was the original plot of Thrice. Like, for example, the first time that Harlow and Sebastian they meet at Forelli's under different circumstances, and Sebastian and Harlow in the publishing copy. And when I say that she was doing a strange dance, I didn't mean like dance in the traditional sense, nor dance in the 80s music sense. I would hope nobody would be dancing in the 80s manner in the middle of a bar. That would just be too surreal. Now, basically what it is she confronts this live streaming rage bait person. Oh man, she lays into that guy. Anyway, so the way I'm imagining the original version is that basically there are parallel universes and they're going on at the same time, where it seems like Harlow, Sebastian, who are together in the original version, not Sebastian and ultimately at the end Gemma, were remembering being together before, but it wasn't like the Earth was reversing like in Superman and bringing the back into time. It's just these three events were happening in a parallel universe. So in the first universe, Sebastian is close to 60, because I had made Sebastian younger in the original version by about 10 years. He is very dignified, like he is in my current version. He's also very elegant and kind of a bougie peacock, what Harlow calls him. Down, he was dressed to the nines and very particular about the way he looks, down to like the way he ties his robe. He wouldn't go anywhere with even one dog hair on a pair of pants. It's just, and he's got his closet all arranged in color order. He's very empathetic for the three women in his life, actually, because he's poly and he has a girlfriend and he marries Harlow and he lives with his sister, and a little more drama than I'm used to writing, with Harlow at the end being saved from some crazy woman from getting stabbed by Sebastian, jumping in between, and he's the one that gets stabbed and dies, and then Harlow has broken heart syndrome and goes and dies on his grave, and as she's dying, he's telling her to be born and go find him again. And when she finally gets these memories of her parallel universe life, she's 12 years old, and 50-year-old mind all is in her body, and I can't imagine that. But because of the fact she goes and interferes with the way his life was supposed to proceed, takes a different trajectory, he's kind of a different person. He's kind of like downtrodden a little bit. He's awkward, and when Sebastian and Harlow finally meet up in that universe, when she's 25 and he's 30 whatever, which she had gone into his dreams when she was 12 and said, "Wait on me to find you," so he doesn't ever even marry Gemma, which in the original version, Sebastian and Gemma had married. They'd been married about 15 years, and then they had a contentious divorce, and Gemma took the two sons to Portugal where she was born so they could be around her family, and Sebastian didn't really contest it. And for whatever reason, he thought it was best with the kids because they get to go to better schools and be in a better country in general. Um, and then they never ever reunited like they do in the new version. So when Harlow finally goes to Sebastian and they also get married, deep down in her recesses of her mind, I think she's kind of disappointed that he is not the same person that he was when she first met him, but of course he wouldn't be, because his life took a different path. To the point where he had always been a child actor. That was the main theme in the original version. And then took the break to go into Thrice, and then he went back into adult acting, or went into adult acting, but in the second time around, he goes into it sooner than he did the first time around, because he was with Gemma, touring with her, because she was a singer-songwriter. So it was a few years down the road delayed that he became an actor the first time around. So in the second time around, he's younger. He gets on this set where he's playing this vampire who is obsessed with time, has this pocket watch that he wears on a chain around his throat, and unbeknownst to anybody there, it's one of those radioactive, with the radioactive paint. What sets him up to ultimately, after the 3 years that Harlow and Sebastian are together, doesn't die of being stabbed, he dies of leukemia. And it was indirectly Harlow's fault, because she got him off the way his life was supposed to proceed. So, in the original version, when Sebastian died the first time, Harlow's the one that fell apart. Sarah was the rock. When he died the second time, Harlow was just stone cold wall. Sarah's the one who fell apart. Sarah ended up committing suicide by drinking alcohol and taking Sebastian's leftover painkillers that he never had gotten around to swallowing. But she just can't bear being without her baby brother. So then, after these two times, the Earth, who's behind all of this nonsense, is like, okay, he's not supposed to be dying after 3 years of them meeting. I've got to do something different this third time. Sebastian gets memories a third time. And what happens, the life-changing event, is when Harlow is born in San Francisco. Two babies that are born at the same time get swapped at birth. So her biological parents, which was a large part of what her problems were, took home the wrong kid. And then Harlow went home with a nurturing, kind family who encouraged her to be her best self. So she ended up being a concert pianist, which would always be in the dream in the back of her mind to be able to sit on a stage and play piano. And she finally gets to do that. She's a concert pianist. And whatever butterfly effect happened when the babies got switched kind of affected Sebastian and made him, as a child actor, not mean. He was never mean, but like this entitled, like spoiled potentate, whoever got whatever he wanted from his managers. Fortunately, his sister and his parents were able to rein him in enough that he didn't get on drugs or anything like that. But one day when he was 14 years old, he got into his neighbor's Mustang and stupidly left the keys in the ignition. The next thing he remembered after hopping in the car was waking up in the hospital, bereft of an arm, just like the drummer in Def Leppard was in a car accident and lost his arm. And he was in the hospital a few months. And then when he got out, he would tell Harlow later, "You would have thought that I would have been humble, but no, it made me worse, because all of a sudden, I'm this good-looking, 15-year-old child actor and has all these girls around me and all the sympathy they were pouring on me. Then he had his 16th birthday, and then the next morning he woke up to the download of the 2 times they had been together. He spent the entire day crying, and then he determined to be a better man. He went and apologized to everyone he had wronged. He stopped being the spoiled little brat person, and he turned into a better man. And when he's 26 and this 3rd time around, and this was kind of creepy, I guess, waiting for her to turn 18. But the circumstances were a little bit different than if that was just a regular, like, encounter. He had seen her on one of those, like, 2020 type shows when finally was discovered she was switched at birth, and she went to meet her biological parents and her biological brother, and she says, that's the first and last time I'm going to talk to him because those people are bad. So he had seen her on that show, and he heard where she practiced piano and went there one day, found her there, and talks to her a little bit, asks her to go out on a date, and she says, no, I don't date. But he's very convincing, and he convinces her, just lunch, there's something I need to tell you, and if you think I'm crazy, you can get up and walk out, you can call the police even if you just think I'm that nuts. And he tells her his little back history, and then he tells her they had been together twice before, and she gets a little tiny download of a memory, just like Sebastian had gotten a tiny download of the memory the 2nd time, to realize he's telling the absolute truth. And she's absolutely, like, having an out-of-body experience for a little bit. But they get to talking, and he's very charming, and they hook up that night, and then they, just a few months later, go and get married, and then the band Thrice is resurrected, and Sebastian and Harlow's mother, who's a songwriter, a couple of other members that weren't in the original band, start going around to clubs and playing, and then they get on a 1990s grunge tour with this band called Weeping Legions. And at first, it was just like, oh, this shitty hair band from the 80s named Thrice with the 27-year-old singer and his child bride, Harlow. At first, it was met with a lot of scorn, and then people started realizing that this music is really good, because now they have a good mix of talent. And it was almost like life-changing music. The same thing in my new version is when Thrice is resurrected, they start writing life-changing music. But I always wanted to be having Harlow going around and playing electric keyboard. I only wouldn't be hauling around Baby Grand, but I always wanted her to do that. And in the original version, I didn't even like her that much by the end of it. I thought she was just too, not knowing when to leave something alone and poke, just too much. To the point I'm like, I don't want her to be that. And the original Trevor was just gross. They were in a traditional marriage, not a cover marriage in the original. But I had just turned him into a gross bad guy, and I didn't want Trevor to be that. So that was a couple of reasons why I scrapped that plot, in addition to the too much drama that I just can't think. I can't think dramatic, soap opera-ish kind of stuff. I tried. I was trying to write out of my comfort zone. Didn't work out. But anyway, if anybody has any suggestions on how to write some song lyrics, let me know, based on my original plot of my book. Everybody have a good day.